Good afternoon. My name is Donovan Carter. I'm here with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program in Washington, D.C. Today is Saturday, August 28th, 2021, and I'm here with...
Tammie Featherstone.
And...
Sonya Young Doumbia.
Okay. So, Tammie, you first. Tell me a bit why you're here today.
We're here today to stand in solidarity with the other families and to bring awareness to the murder of my nephew Jimmy Atchison by Atlanta police officer Sonja.
Okay. And this is I hate to ask this, but do you know where and when your nephew was killed?
Jimmy was murdered on January 22nd, 2019 in Atlanta, Georgia.
Tell me about Jimmy. Tell me about your nephew. Tell me about him.
Jimmy was a comedian. He was an inspiring rapper. He was very funny. He was the only boy of 8 from his mother, and he had several stepsisters and a stepbrother. He had a close bond with all of his sisters and brothers. Jimmy was he was a spiritual type young man. He carried his Bible with him everywhere he went in his front pocket. He was just really, really fun. He was a father. He had a daughter, Skylar, and a son, Jalen, that he loved dearly. He really loved his kids. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, his grandma was his heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could do no wrong in his grandma's eyes. That was his heart. That was his heart.
Well, she passed in January this year.
Microphone.
Mm-hmm.
She passed in January this year.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you maybe a couple of difficult questions. Do you know the events that occurred leading to Jimmy's murder?
Yes. Jimmy was accused of armed robbery. A young lady took a warrant out on him saying that he robbed her for her cell phone. The detectives came out. They interviewed witnesses. The witnesses told him that Jimmy never robbed her. He never had a gun at her. He didn't take her phone. He asked to use her phone, and he walked off. They knew each other. She waited 3 days after the incident to go and file a warrant. After the detectives spoke to the witnesses, they said that there wasn't enough evidence to issue a warrant for Jimmy. However, the Atlanta task force somehow got a warrant signed for Jimmy's arrest. The task force, they came to my mom's house first. Jimmy wasn't there. And then they went to his son's mother's house, and Jimmy was there babysitting. They tried to break into the unit, which they didn't have a warrant for. Jimmy put the kids under the bed, and he jumped out of the window and ran. He ran into a nearby neighbor's house, where he hid in a closet. The task force never saw him go in the closet, so they shouldn't have gone in after him. They should have called SWAT, because that's a suspect barricaded at this point. They took it upon themselves to go in, and Jimmy was hiding in the closet. He had 2 conflicting commands. The first officer told him not to move. The second officer told him to come out with his hands out. As he was coming out of a small closet with 2 shells in it, Officer Sonja shot him once in the left side of his face below his left eye, and it blew the back of his brains out. But before then, during the briefing on the warrant, Officer Sonja told the other officer that Jimmy had several encounters with police enforcement, and which turned out to be a lie. That he had run-ins with the police where he's resisted arrest, which turned out to be a lie. He briefed them to go at Jimmy with deadly force, and it's amazing that he's the officer that did the briefing. He was the officer that was leading the task force, and he's also the officer that killed Jimmy. So my thinking is that the day that Jimmy died, Sonja already had in his mind that he was going to kill Jimmy. Especially when you're telling the officer, your fellow officers, to go at him with deadly force.
Lethal force, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man. I really am truly sorry to hear this.
Thank you.
I've been hearing a lot of stories today, and each one is equally disturbing. None of them are alike.
Yeah, and it's the part that is really getting to me is listening to all of these stories and getting the same response. The officer said they was fearful of their life, or the person made a certain move, or he thought he had a gun, or he thought his gun was a taser. It's the same story over and over again, and these are the things that they are trying to say to protect themselves because of the way that they're protected as officers. So we really have to come together and get these laws changed. That's something that's mandatory. We have to change these laws to stop protecting these police officers, because they are sworn in to protect us, and they're not protecting us, they're killing us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Miss Sonya Young, would you like to say anything?
The family called Jimmy LJ, and he was such a good young gentleman. My son is like 2 years younger than him, and they always spent time together when they saw each other. And to hear that this happened, I woke up that morning to the TV on and the news, and to see that my cousin had been murdered like that, it was weird to me, because I never even saw Atlanta. It was the feds that was like doing the interviews and stuff, and I thought that was weird because I didn't know what was going on. But it's just been shocking. You have to do your job. Even if you're the police, you have to do your job. If you have to arrest one of your own because they're wrong for doing something, that's what needs to happen. Son Kim is a murderer. He's a dirty cop. His name was on the street, and he shouldn't even...
Officer Son Kim?
Yeah, he's a dirty cop, He's done things like shot a dog 9 times, Who shoots a dog 9 times, People, It don't faze him. And to be allowed to retire and then come back with a federal job, another federal job, it's a big cover-up. And it's dirty, and it's low down, and the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia should be ashamed of themselves. And we're not going to stop. We're going to always be out on the beat till this officer is arrested, because he's a murderer, And how can we trust the police with somebody like him? It's not fair to us. We're tax-paying, law-abiding citizens, and it's not right. And he has to be arrested, because that's the right thing to do. That's all we want. We're not here because we hate the police or anything like that. It's nothing like that. A dirty officer is getting away with murder, and it's not going to happen. We're not going to let it happen. I'm sorry that my cousin Ann, her mom, Atchison, she passed in January. She never got to see the end of what's going to happen, And it's not fair, because it should have happened from day one. It should have happened from day one, and it didn't, but it will. It will. Fannie Willis, she's the district attorney. Do your job. That's all we asking. Keisha Lance Bottoms, do your job. The governor of the state of Georgia, do your job, Governor Barnes. Do your job. Oh, Kemp, my bad. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Kemp, do your job. Don't run and hide. Everybody want to point fingers at each other. Don't run and hide. This is a serious issue, and it has to be dealt with. People shouldn't have to do this right here, because the law is the law. But they're covering up for one of their own, and it's not right. Yeah.
What do you want the world to know about LJ, Jimmy?
He was such a great father. He was. His kids loved him. They're little. They lost their dad 2 years ago. His youngest son, he's probably never going to really truly remember him, because he was a kid. And his daughter, man, she looks just like him. Like the girl version of him. He was an aspiring rapper. And now his younger sister, Ashanti, known as the real Ashanti, she did some songs with him, but they miss their brother. My cousin said she missed her son, and it wears on her every day to see your cousin like beating herself down because it was nothing that she can do. That's horrible to see. That's horrible to see a mother who, want to fight but not strong enough to come out here with us today and fight, because she's so depressed behind losing her son. It's not fair. It's not fair. We have family that's police. We have friends that's police. We don't hate the police. We want the police to do the job. That's all we're saying. LJ was an awesome person. And this should not have happened to him. It really should not have happened to him. You know, that's what I want the world to know. He was a great person. He really was a young, great person. And it seemed like when you're black, you're guilty. That's not the case. That's not the case here. You know, justice for LJ. Justice for Jimmy Atchison. We call him LJ, sorry. But justice for Jimmy Atchison, you know. You know, this is his aunt. She has to deal with interviews, you know, marches in different states. It's hard on her. You know, she lost her nephew. It's hard on the whole family. You know, his sisters, some of them, they're not even strong enough to come out here and fight too. You know, 2 years, you know, 2 years and they still mourning their brother. You know, it was nothing that nobody could do that day to stop it. But son Kim, he didn't have to do that, but he did it. So we want the world to know, help us fight for justice for Jimmy Atchison and the rest of these families. Because we, you know, you heard the stories today. You know, somebody in these offices, in these states not doing their job. And they should be fired. Hell, they should be tried too for not doing their job. You take an oath of office to uphold the law, not to do anything like this. And it's definitely wrong. You know, it's wrong. So we just want justice. We want justice.
Is there anything else either of you want to add?
I just want to say to Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis, you have the evidence. It's in black and white. We gave you the evidence. We gave you the experts' findings. You have the room, the little small closet that Jimmy was in. You can tell that at no time Jimmy was a threat to Officer Sankim. There were 2 other officers standing right next to him. You know, if Officer Sankim felt threatened, the other 2 officers felt threatened as well, and he would have been shot more than one time. We just ask that you do your job, go through your findings, don't cut no corners, and charge Officer Sankim with the murder of Jimmy Atchison.
And don't pass the case on to somebody else. Do your job. Or she should be tried and she could go to jail too for not doing her job. You know, that's how serious this matter is right here. She is the district attorney. Do your job. All of you. The mayor, the governor, and the district attorney. Do your job.
Thank you both for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Justice for Jimmy.
Justice for Jimmy.
Justice for Jimmy.